Kristen Meadows is going to be our map for another Nightelf versus Undead. And guys, we have down here to the bottom left Nightcore. Nightelf player that goes up against the Frog. The King of Ghouls himself. Changed a little bit, obviously, with the Frozen Throne and currently also the current meta. But MadFrog still one of the few Undead players that really likes to commit to more of a Gargoyle, Ghoul-based style, depending on the games. So, let's see how exactly this is going to work out for him. Currently, we have him here in green up to the top right, the Swedish player, with an immediate start into Altar of Darkness and Crypt, therefore. Going to have that early Death Knight out, not going into any kind of quick Fiend Rush build, which we have still occasionally, especially when you're going up against Nightelf. It is a play that you can make. But we're having Nightcore down to the bottom left with the Ancient of War build right at the first mercenary camp, at the first creep camp, and that is something you will see quite a lot. Now we have a keeper here. Again, just recently we had a lot of games actually on the stream where Starshape played, and he changed his MO severely after the last patch came through and nerfed the keeper, the entangle, and also the damage of the treants a bit. Went more and more into a Demon Hunter again as a first hero. But for now we're still having Nightcore with a keeper. And that immediately means that it's very likely that we're going to see him commit to strong units at the front, maybe even a double Ancient of War, maybe an expansion, trying to control the map at the beginning of the game through his strong tier 1 units and the entangle that you can throw out there, and then try to gain map pressure through that map control, get his hero high up, and then add the tag a little bit later. So we're going to keep an eye out on which kind of strategy he's going to use. Both of the players, by the way, scouting with an early Acolyte or Wisp in that case. And going to double check, of course, what's going to be the hero here. The Tomb of Relics, as you can see, lines up perfectly well with the hero as it comes out, just done shortly before the hero pops out. That allows the Death Knight to get immediately the Rod of Necromancy and then continue from there. In the base now, also the Graveyard being built, which means that we are actually going to see Fiends. Now, I've been hyping MadFrog up a little bit in the games that we casted so far about how he's more committed to playing Ghouls, but as you can see, even he needs to make certain adjustments given the current meta and everything. So he's going into his Fiends with the Graveyard here. Circle of Mobility on the side of the Keeper. And the Coil, not quite. Gets the experience, actually. Steals it away with the Skeletons. Experience gained here for MadFrog. So far, so good. The Keeper only getting one of those creeps. Nightcore not going to be too happy about that. But yeah, MadFrog going for Harass. And the quick tech into the Necropolis, and you can actually see him already here with a second crypt, so we might see some Gargoyles after all. Now the players, Gargoyles these days are not really being played a lot. One of the big problems that you have with Gargoyles is that they are still very, very weak, easy to take down, and don't do a whole lot of damage. So you need huge amount of Gargoyles. And another problem for them in general is that it's very, very fashionable to go into an Alchemist now, especially on the Nightelf side. And an Alchemist with the Acid Bomb is fantastic against Gargoyles. So that's one of the reasons. If you play Gargoyle style, then as an Undead you need to, I don't want to say you have to play it flawlessly, but it feels like you really have to play absolutely on point, and you can't just afford to lose a couple of Gargoyles every now and then. You really need to play with them, harass a lot, harass the main base, take Wisps down, try to not lose any, and at some point attempt to hit a critical mass that really allows you to put a lot of damage in. And it's a little bit similar with what we've seen in the past when you go up with Gyrocopters, flying machines against destroyers. You need a critical mass before they really have that effect. We don't quite have that attempt at a play that we've talked about earlier. We have the Keeper with a commitment to treants in level 1, and didn't see too much entangling just yet. So for the time being, Tree of Life with attack into the Tree of Ages. Nothing outside of that. I have an attempt to go straight here for the camp again. Gets the experience. So MadFrog so far happy with the play. Has his Graveyard and is immediately going for the attack upgrade for his creatures. For Fiends, Gargoyles, Destroyers, even Frostworms being adjusted by that. Ooh, and sorry, Entangle on level 1, not Treants. I think I screwed it up a bit earlier. So tries to put some pressure onto that Keeper, onto that Death Knight. Nice save on the Archer, by the way, with 4 hit points using Shadow Melt as the first Knight has fallen, and now some Hunters coming into this too. At the same time, expansion being built, a Tree of Life, scouted out by MadFrog, but still, Showing his cards here doesn't really hurt him too much, because again, with that heavy commitment to a couple of hunters and to an entangle in the early game, you can be pretty safe in the assumption that you are going to be controlling the early mid game. And there are the Gargoyles. This is the Garg style that we've been talking about here, so let's see how successful he's going to be with that. In the main base of the Nightelf player, on the other hand, attack into the Tree of Ages is eventually going to lead to an Alchemist as the second hero. At least I would be shocked if we don't see that. You already have Night Elves commit to an Alchemist second in any other setup. As soon as he spots that he's up against Gargoyles, he's got to be even more determined to get that Alchemist into the game here. Treants and Entangle being used to creep the spot, at least trying to. A Keeper with the one item that he found so far, Circle of Mobility. Gargoyles have already been spotted. And we're also seeing now the Death Knight with the Staff of Teleportation. So going to try and harass the main base a little bit and then staff out. Nightcore is trying to get more XP for himself. Gets a Ring of Protection +2 for his efforts. Not going to be too happy about that. Double Skeleton with a harass against the Tree of Life. That's already great. Keeps it quite low here, no matter what happens. And now the harass with the initial 2 Gargoyles straight against an Ancient Protector. As Nightcore is saying like, well, if you go into Gargoyles, I will need to keep my Wisps safe somehow. But that was a really nice move from MadFrog, moving straight into the main base, because that is going to shut that defense down right now. One Wisp down and trying to get a little bit more, but that good old Wisp into and out of the gold mine play is still active. Gets another one though with another coil here. Very few detonates actually from Nightcore, but gets the quick Entangle and the staff out right away. Now Entangle doesn't interrupt the staff if, well, the staff goes through if you drop it after the entangle. That's how I should probably phrase it. You can still use an entangle as the animation goes and try and cut it off that way. Not quite sure if the expansion was really the play here. The Ghouls and the Gargs alone are already about to take that down. And yep, that's the end of the expansion. Now this is a pretty shitty start for Nightcore, I'm not gonna lie to you. He knows what's coming, and that's good for him. The Ghouls at least go down, but the entire expansion was harassed for so long with those skeletons that I feel Nightcore should have been... He should have known that something was coming, that he needs to have at least a few more wisps over. He sent one in that was apparently killed, but currently MadFrog is just simply trying to harass him as much as he can. And he's a little bit starved for wood, to be honest with you. He sent the Ghouls over to cancel the expansion, and that worked out, but it came at a cost. It robbed him from all kinds of wood income in the main base, so that's a bit of a problem for MadFrog, at least for the time being. Also, he's sitting on 30 supply and is supply blocked, so that makes things a little bit more difficult. Needs to start building some Ghouls as well, and not only focus on Gargoyles here. Nightcore is still creeping and is already trying to set up another Ancient Protector here. We have him with a Pendant of Energy, not really a bad item, all things considered. And he has level 3, of course, for the Keeper, whereas the Death Knight is still on level 2, but roaming the map with the Gargoyles that he has. It's 36 supply for Nightcore, and we have 30 still only for MadFrog, who has the gold, but not really the wood to get a lot more units out there. Keeps those Gargoyles in play and needs more Ghouls. Okay, finally, here, gets it, and starts to make sure that he has at least some wood income. Now again, granted, we're untwisted, so you have laboratories available. You could always try and go instead into some Goblin Shredder. Ancient Protector in the main base now is going to save him a bit from the Gargoyle harass. Of course, Gargoyles being unarmored take extra damage from piercing attacks, so it's going to hurt. That's another quick snipe. This is what you have to do if you're playing Gargoyles. Rush around the map, cancel what you can, try and take wisps down, keep the Night Elf low on wood, ideally. Again, Staff of Teleportation being used, but the Death Knight in every single one of these engagements is getting a little bit of a beating. Another attempt at expanding, shut down. And still sticking around with archers here. Now again, the Keeper is gaining more and more experience, and that is a bit of a worry. Another quick attempt at a snipe, and actually kills it! The fuck? He actually takes the expansion down, it wasn't cancelled. Nightcore with definitely a few misplays in this game, don't get me wrong. So far the play with the with the Gargoyles is great, but didn't quite expect him to forget to cancel an expansion. No second hero for either player, by the way. And I would have expected a long time ago already an Alchemist to be added by Nightcore, and I still feel that he should do exactly that for the reasons pointed out earlier. If you have an Acid Bomb against Gargoyles, that helps a lot. And those Gargoyles are still being a pain, still moving in. And if you look at Nightcore, he actually still has a fair amount of wood, so it's not really too bad at this point in time. But his desperate attempts to get an expansion into the game don't work out quite yet. Ideally, you get enough Gargoyles that you can one-shot a Wisp, if you're planning that type of harass. But as you can tell right now, that Ancient Protector alone is already pushing MadFrog back a little bit, because those Gargoyles are receiving a lot of damage from it, and they are low. But the one thing that Nightcore definitely does right is he never really just sits around idly for too long. He always moves in and tries to creep more on the map, and his hero is just leveling up as we speak. Double Ring of Protection +2, not going to be too happy about that, likely to be sold depending on the item here. And we have now a Scroll of Healing taken by him too. MadFrog still roaming the map, Boots of Khaldor now also for him. And if you look over to MadFrog, he's going up against a Nightelf that sits at 44 supply, and MadFrog himself has now 40 supply, has a Lich on level 1. Even looking at a Skull here. Sacrificial Skull could try and get an expansion in, and seems to be doing exactly that, as we have an Acolyte just outside of the vision range of the Nightelf moving out, but he's never going to be able to start the creep here, even, is he now? Because the main base is already being attacked. He smooth those treants up front to soak up some of the damage, and yeah, won't be able to get that. But over here, we have another Tree of Life being built, comes in from behind and takes down one Huntress. Alright, Nova into those archers, and yep, there it is, takes that right away. Level 3 on the Death Knight, level 2 Coil is now available for him too, and there's the forced TP on Nightcore. He gets the level up, has the Keeper on level 5, and seriously, I'm throwing a little bit of a hissy fit if that guy doesn't commit to an Alchemist as a second hero soon enough. Any other hero, bring a Potom in for all that I care, but he needs a bit more. He can't just only rely on a high-level Keeper, right? That can't be it. Against Coil Nova on the other side, you need to get a little bit more than that. MadFrog gets the creep going, and this time he won't be able to cancel the expansion on the left side of the map. But MadFrog is still down to 36 supply, and he's up against the Nightelf that's sitting at 41. There's a level 2 for the Lich, who barely survives, gets the coil through. Claws of Attack +9. Fantastic item for the Lich for the extra damage in addition to the Orb of Corruption. And there we go. There's our Alchemist. And now, of course, the goal has to be to try and level that as quickly as he possibly can and try and get it to 3 for the Acid Bomb on level 2. Again, Gargoyles, they hate... I mean, let's face it, they hate any damage, right? But they hate Acid Bombs and the focus fire that usually follows when you're engaging the Nightelf army here. We also have by now the Ancient of Lore. It's always that weird interplay, the weird dynamic that you have between Gargoyles and Dryads. Because they basically counter each other. Both of them do piercing damage. And both of them do have are unarmored. So it means with the damage that we have from those ranged attacks, normal attacks are for the melee form, if you go up against air units. But they basically counteract each other with their damage and armor types. Another thing here is that that Lich is currently not looking too healthy. Another Entangle on the Death Knight is putting him under pressure as well. He might actually be forced to TP out eventually here. Also, the slow is keeping those Gargoyles as a high focus. Entangle again on the Lich, the surround attempt. MadFrog is all of a sudden in trouble, losing one Gargoyle already. Might lose more than that. Keeper has another Entangle and uses it. Surround attempt, but not quite closed. Second attempt followed up. Much better for him, but still not able to quite take it down here. Another Gargoyle is falling though, and that Lich barely survived. Gargoyles are going down in the meantime. Nightcore sitting at 49 supply, 41 for MadFrog. And MadFrog again leading always with a Necropolis here, not haunting the gold mine immediately, and he only has one source of income. And the Nightelf player starting to move back down here. He's still only looking at that Keeper on level 5, and he doesn't have a Town Portal either, so MadFrog has a chance to go straight into that backline again, rip with the Nova through the archers, and then follow that up. But they're seeing that Acolyte, yeah, he's not gonna make it. Well, ignoring the Agonite would be a bit of a misplay. I mean, that's the guy that at the end of the day is going to put the expansion into position as it stands, right? More Gargoyles coming in, more Dryads also hoppity-hop making their way over to the right side of the map. Ghouls now on the ground too. And those Ghouls, they are pretty swiftly underway here, trying to get the damage in. Ground army against the Archers. Bad times for the Nightelf. Here comes the Nova, and even with a healing spray, I'm not seeing him doing any kind of progress. He's gonna suffer from this one. Level 4 on the side of the Death Knight, and MadFrog just rattling through that army, losing Gargoyles in the process though. One scroll of healing coming through, double level up as the Lich is hitting level 3, and here comes the attack onto the Alchemist, and he is not gonna make it. Absolutely no way. Alchemist already down, and now the Nightelf on the run. Definitely a bit of a misplay here by him. That attack was very optimistic. I don't even know he was so set at taking down the Necropolis. That doesn't do anything for your opponent in terms of income. Anyways, could have moved back out and waited a little bit longer to get some more, well, not only experience, but units. Maybe the Acid Bomb finally for the Alchemist. Don't really blame him for trying to get, nice attempt with the Gargoyle form, with the Stone form, the Gargoyles to get the keep us around. I don't really blame him for going into healing spray here, but I would have at least liked him to creep a little bit more. 40 supply, still very even for the two when it comes to that, but now the double hero is definitely playing a big role in those engagements, and MadFrog currently doing well with this. Still no expansion for him, and this expansion is happily running here and giving quite a bit of additional income over to Nightcore, is sitting at 700 at this point in time. Another Huntress about to fall, that Keeper getting all the experience right now, and again the slow is definitely messing with the Gargoyles there. Could get the coil and gets it. So MadFrog trying to move that back for now. The Alchemist is back in play, and Nightcore has 44 supply right now. Could always just move over to the shop and maybe get a few additional items, but as long as MadFrog doesn't mind from this one, it's not going to be too much of a concern here. But of course, at least now the gold mine is being haunted, and that's already a big difference to what we've seen before. In terms of upgrades, we really don't see too much for Nightcore either. He doesn't have any upgrades, and we've seen some come through for MadFrog. He has one attack upgrade that he got earlier in the game, but ever since then he didn't invest anything into additional ones. Now the Gloves of Haste should be passed over to the Lich. We're going to see that in a little bit, I think. Already passed over the Claws of Attack that he found on the spot towards the right. Talking about spots, we're having two being crept right now. Both of them are active with it. And the Keeper needs to be moved back here. Nightcore again. He has a couple of good moments, but also he makes a few mistakes that are definitely something that currently still prevents him from breaking through all the way to the top. You can't get experience from creeps after level 5, so moving that Keeper over to the left would have made sure that all the experience ends up on the Alchemist, and so he wasted a little bit for that XP, since the game still is going to try it to just simply distribute it between the two heroes that he has here. So needs to move that hero once it hits level 5 a little bit farther off. Exactly what he does now. Exactly what he does now. Starts to move into the main base here, so we're going to see that Alchemist now gain a lot more XP, but could have been even a little bit higher. The Ruined Braces, on the other hand, that's a fantastic item for him to have right now. Against the nukes that we're seeing come in, that's going to make his day for sure. Talisman of Invasion as well, nothing really too bad if you want to have full survivability. If you're in a pinch and starved for money, you can play around that too. Ancient Protector, by the way, built towards the right side here, playing a bit sneaky around that. Keeper hasn't really bought anything, starting to probably going to get at least a town portal here. We're having the Alchemist at level 3, so that helps. And in the meantime, Death Knight, look at that, Potion of Greater Mana, is a fantastic item for him. Nearly level 5, Lich on 4, Potion of Invulnerability, a full one, didn't even have to buy the lesser one at the shop. It's going to be fantastic one way or another. Yep, there's already the Ancient Protector, going to be attacked here. And a few more units in. There's the level 5. 63 supply against 59. Nearly even when it comes to that. And now Nightcore can make his move. Can start moving in here. Big army for him. One Scroll of Healing. Gets the second one as well. Doesn't even go into a Scroll of Town portal. No retreat, no surrender. It's all about victory here. And he starts moving in. And this is something where now we're having, okay, starts repairing the gold mine. One Gargoyle, yeah, he's gonna fall. And he doesn't even get the gold mine here. He's able to take most of the wisps down though. So that's at least a little bit of a win. 2 remaining on the other hand. And mining still happening over here towards the right side. One of the Acolytes just trying to at least get the Necropolis back up on full HP. But yeah, Tree of Eternity here, and we're having a massive amount of, well, mostly Dryads, Archers, a lot of piercing damage against those Gargoyles. Having the Alchemist on a higher level is of course going to help him a lot. Would in the long run really like with tier 3 to also see him commit to an Orb of Venom. I I think it would have been fantastic for him. Get a bit more poison damage in. Sitting around the tavern. I'm not quite sure if we're going to see a third hero here. Personally, I want to say no. But yeah, he goes for it. Gets the Tinker. Okay, I mean, fair enough. Against the air units, I didn't really think that he would commit to a third hero here. I think that he would mostly try and level his what's his face? His Alchemist. Orb of Darkness for MadFrog. And same player for MadFrog. If MadFrog moves the Death Knight outside a little bit, he gets more experience here for the Lich too. So it would work out for him as well. Seems to prioritize to just try and get that. You can't have double orb effects, by the way, so that's why the Lich does not take the Orb of Darkness. And the attack down here towards the bottom right. Does he have a Town Portal? Yeah, he does. But he doesn't want to fight with this just yet. He goes for the expansion instead, trying to trade expansions here. Pocket Factory on the ground, 69 supply against 72. Now taking those Acolytes out, he could definitely TP over and try and defend this. I think it would be an easy defense here for Nightcore if he goes for it. Takes down the Acolytes, all of them gone, wants to go for the Haunted Goldmine, but this seems to be just a trade. He's not TPing anytime soon. Yeah, they're trading. They're trading bases. Nightcore is expanding again. Builds another Tree of Life down at the bottom of the map. And MadFrog takes down the economy. Has a shit ton of trees. I mean, holy smokes, Batman. All those trees, full Lord of the Rings vibe at this point. And yep, one tree hugging another and taking everything down here. Needs to make sure that at least this one falls, by the way. A quick trip to the shop for the Nightelf of today. Gets a Town Portal. Has still those Scrolls of Healing. Big army here for the Nightelf. And yeah, this one down. Second one about to fall. Yeah, everything dead and dying except for the Ziggurat itself. But another expansion attempt also for MadFrog. They're just everywhere on the map right now. They're trying to get these expansions up. Sees the creeps. Doesn't creep right away. What does the Tinker have? Did he get something for the Tinker? Tinker doesn't get anything. Everybody hates Gazlo. Alchemist gets item, the Keeper gets items as well, the Tinker doesn't get anything. He's always like that last afterthought that you have, and it's like, I might get a third hero, let's get a Tinker and drop a couple of Pocket Factories here and see what we can do with that. Only a first commitment to Tinker is really worth it when you get that Robo-Goblin. And here, main base commitment again. Already attack into the West Blind. But also sniping the structures. Trying to go for the Tree of Eternity here. At some point, someone has to play TP, right? The game of chicken that we're seeing between the two of them is starting to become a little bit ridiculous. So they're trying to snipe the Black Citadel, and at the same time, that Tree of Eternity is also not looking too good. Is that going to be a base race? Are they actually racing? No, they're not. Okay, here comes the TP. It might be a bit late, and it's too early. The Black Citadel isn't down, and this is going to be very likely a dead Lich. They're going for the Lich, has a Potion of Invulnerability, and gets it. All right. Quick trade here. Base up and mining up to the top. Another one down here just entangling the gold mine. A little bit mistimed. Hindsight being 20/20, I think you have the Undead player, then you can delay your own move a little bit and you'll be able to take down the Black Citadel and deny the Town Portal as it stands. But of course, that's just with full knowledge of what was going on here. Lich on level 5.5. Death Knight heading closer into level 6 as well. Starting to creep. Can't get any experience here anymore, but he wants the gold, he wants the items, and he gets the flute. Die Flöte. Hilarious flute of accuracy, and all of a sudden those Gargoyles with another 2 extra damage here. Plus 2 attack, by the way. Another attack upgrade that MadFrog got for his unit. Still 0 upgrades for the Nightelf. 52 supply against 62. Nightcore is a bit behind, and he has absolutely no idea what's happening up here to the top left. Down to the bottom of the map in the meantime, we have the gold mine entangled, but only 2 wisps mining. 100, run, and goes down. Aura too good. The aura definitely too strong. The Nightelf still has some really strong units out, and again, that Alchemist is powerful. Gets a bit of damage in, okay, and yeah, the Gargoyle is not going to die here, but still has good vision of what's going on here. Now, the problem in general is just simply that no one knows really about these expansions. Both of them have still a couple of units left that they can use, and already trying to flank here, maybe even a little bit. It all comes down to micro here. What can you snipe? If you can take stragglers apart, like this one nearly falling, that would be great. Focus onto the Keeper. Has still one potion being passed over, less vulnerability, and is being used here too. And here comes also the Acid Bomb right now. The Acid Bomb is definitely going to screw with those Gargoyles quite a lot. Good heals coming out with the healing spray, but the Keeper still has to stay behind a bit. Could even think about passing over the Ruined Bracers here. I mean, yes, the Alchemist at the front line is always a priority target for the Coil Nova, talking that, random Nova or random Coil coming over from the side. But if you have a low hit point hero like the Keeper, you might try and keep him safe through that. The Alchemist at least has 200 additional hit points, that helps to an extent, right? Still the dance around happening here, and that poison that we have coming out from all sides from the Nightelf player is starting to screw with especially the Gargoyles. One of them very likely gonna foil, might save him for a little bit longer. Entangle on the Lich, that changes the story a little bit. Double Flute, by the way, has 2 now and gets the Rod of Necromancy that he dropped to pick the item up, gets the Goblin Zeppelin, and now moves away behind the base here. Could even take an island expansion later on in the game if you really wanted to with all of this. But yeah, this is really starting to become a bit of a weird game, because it can literally end with just a single hero kill. If one of the undead units falls, it would be a disaster. But then again, we still have income, right? 64 supply against 45 Nightcore. Behind in supply. His expansion attacked and Nighting, just playing that cancer game with Gargoyles that you have to play if you commit to that style. Running around and trying to make the Nightelf catch up with him. And the Nightelf is just running from the left on the right and the right on the left. But this is exactly the style that you need to play. Xlord 5-0. That's what this reminds me of. That's exactly what he did, what Xlord played in Germany back then in the days with Gargoyles on Twisted Meadows. Heavy commitment to 2 groups of Gargoyles, roaming the map, being annoying, sniping structures, making the opponent dance from left to right. One of the plays that you can make is if you have a Staff of Preservation, you can use it onto the Alchemist, have a few orbs ready as well on your heroes, and then just staff a hero back into the base, let him drop an Acid Bomb, get a few hits in with the orb, the poison damage, and play around that. You also need to be more active on the map and trying to scout. And the big problem, as I said before, is that Nightcore just doesn't have any idea that there's an expansion up there. He's currently just thinking, okay, my opponent might try and expand down here again, but there's nothing, and this is the only one where he sends also Treants. So he doesn't know what exactly is happening here. And he has to play babysitter right now. He's babysitting the expansion, and he also has units in the main base, and that's a problem. And this is where the Tree of Eternity is headed, towards the top left. So he's just split between bases the entire time. I think he finally sees it. He finally sees the expansion up here top, and now he can react. MadFrog forgot one of the Gargoyles, put into stone form, which allows him to heal it a lot faster, but now that Tree of Eternity is incredibly low. Here comes the Alchemist, can maybe drop the Acid Bomb. Level 6 on the Death Knight. Is he going to go into the level 3 for the Unholy Aura, or is he going to commit to a Death Pact here? Death Pact a little bit safer if you are afraid of focus, but if you're just trying to cancel your opponent with a quick move across the map, Aura is the name of the game. Right now, though, the good entangle onto the Lich. Tries to take it down. Lich nearly falling as a Cloak of Shadow that he used. Down goes the Tinker. That's a big play here, as is already. And the Lich barely kept alive here with another coil. Level 3 Shadow Melt being used by the Lich thanks to the Cloak of Shadows. No commitment on the level 5 just yet. And here's the attack. Another coil. Over and over again. The coils coming through to keep the Lich alive. MadFrog trying to save it here. But that's definitely the focus. In the meantime, Alchemist needs to be cautious. Has the Rune Bracers here. Survives for now, but the chase is still on as the Nightelf is trying to take the heroes down. 70 supply for MadFrog. 36 only for the Nightelf. His hail, his victory lies in him taking that Lich down. Taking something down. Maybe the Death Knight instead. And nothing is happening. Just a continuous move away. The income is low on his part, whereas we're still seeing 2 bases here, or 1 big base for MadFrog. Level 6 on the Lich at this point of time, and more units are being sniped. The turnaround as MadFrog is trying to commit to the fight right now. 1 Dryad falling, the piercing damage ripping those Dryads apart, and the Orb of Corruption and the Shadow Orb are just doing all they need to do. The GG finally called as MadFrog takes down a Nightcore in a Ghoul Gargoyle game that we're seeing from the Swedish Undead player. just completely winning the war of attrition here and taking away unit after unit of Nightcore towards the end here. GG and well played. Another Undead versus Nightelf on Twisted Meadows. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope that you guys have a good day and that you enjoyed the match here, and see you soon here on the channel.